When life feels heavy and every effort seems to dissolve into nothing, there exists a hidden key, ancient, powerful, and waiting within you. A key that turns despair into destiny, darkness into dawn. When nothing is working, apply this, and miracles will awaken overnight.
Since the dawn of time, humanity has searched for the secret to turning struggle into breakthrough, defeat into victory, and impossibility into sudden transformation. Whispers of this truth echo through sacred texts, forgotten scrolls, and the quiet testimonies of ordinary souls who became extraordinary. This book is not about effort in the way you've been taught. It is not about forcing, striving, or endlessly pushing against the tide. It is about unlocking the one principle that remains hidden in plain sight: surrender aligned with intention. When nothing is working, it is not a sign of your failure, but a sacred invitation. The universe is not against you. It is guiding you toward a deeper power already dwelling inside. Beneath frustration lies an invisible current that, once tapped, reorders your reality with breathtaking speed. What seems impossible can become inevitable overnight. Through these chapters, you will discover forgotten rituals, subtle mindset shifts, and timeless practices designed to move you from resistance into flow. You will learn how to release the very blocks that keep miracles at bay, and instead, create conditions where miracles must occur. The ancients knew this truth. Life bends to energy, and energy responds to belief. But belief cannot bloom in a clenched mind. It grows in surrender, trust, and conscious alignment. This book is not theory. It is a living manual, a sacred guidebook you will feel in your heart as much as you hear in your ears. Each chapter builds upon the last, weaving a tapestry of wisdom that empowers you to step into a life where breakthroughs are not rare, but daily. Now prepare to unlearn the struggle. Prepare to awaken the miracles waiting for you tonight. Chapter 1. The Sacred Pause. Why nothing working means everything is about to shift. There are moments in life when every effort seems to collapse upon itself. No matter how hard you push, the doors remain closed. No matter how much you try, the results refuse to come. The mind begins to whisper its cruel chorus: something is wrong with you, something is broken. But here lies the first sacred truth. What you perceive as failure is not an ending. It is a pause, a divinely orchestrated stillness where unseen forces begin rearranging the fabric of your reality. The ancients understood the mystery of the pause. Farmers knew that winter's barren fields did not mean death, but preparation. Sailors knew that still waters at sea were not punishment, but invitation to adjust their sails. So too, when nothing in your life seems to move, it is not proof of your inadequacy. It is the sacred pause, a moment when the universe holds its breath so that miracles may gather momentum. In a small village long ago, there lived a stonemason named Elijah. His hands were steady, his craft admired, yet a season arrived when every project he attempted crumbled. Walls cracked, stones slipped. His clients abandoned him. In despair, he threw down his tools and retreated into silence. Days became weeks, and weeks grew into a long season of nothingness. But in this pause, a quiet miracle brewed. Free from the demands of endless labor, Elijah began to notice patterns in the stones he had overlooked. The way light revealed hidden cracks, the subtle sound a rock made before breaking. In this silence, his mastery deepened. When he returned to work, his creations no longer faltered. They rose with elegance, admired across the kingdom. So it is with you. The pause is not punishment. It is preparation. When nothing works, the universe is whispering, you are not meant to continue as you were. Something greater seeks to be born through you. Yet the ego resists the pause, labeling it stagnation. It wants motion, progress, proof. But the sacred rhythm of life knows otherwise. Just as the breath requires exhale before inhale, and music demands silence between notes, creation requires intervals of stillness. In this stillness, the soil of your life regenerates, making room for harvests more abundant than before. The sacred pause also dismantles illusions. When results no longer come from striving, you are forced to confront the truth. Your worth is not measured by productivity. Your value does not depend on constant success. In these still moments, you meet yourself without masks, without applause, without distraction. This is where transformation begins. In modern times, a woman named Celeste discovered this truth when her business collapsed. Despite years of effort, clients vanished, and income dried to nothing. Friends told her to try harder, to hustle more, but exhaustion overwhelmed her. Finally, she surrendered, allowing herself to stop. She sat in her small apartment in silence, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, the quiet rhythm of her own breath. At first, despair screamed, but then something unexpected happened. Out of the stillness arose clarity. Ideas flowed, not from desperation, but inspiration. Within months, she rebuilt her life on a foundation that aligned with her true passion, work that required less effort, yet brought more abundance. This is the secret. When you embrace the sacred pause, you invite the unseen into your life. You open space for wisdom, guidance, and alignment. Tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, release the need for answers. Release the frantic grasping for progress. Whisper softly to yourself, "This pause is holy. This silence is fertile. Something unseen is gathering on my behalf." Then close your eyes and rest in the truth that stillness is not empty. It is the womb of creation. For in the quiet, miracles are born. Chapter 2. The Energy of Letting Go, Releasing Resistance as a Miracle Trigger. If the sacred pause is the stillness of preparation, then letting go is the act that turns the key. So many live clenched, holding tightly to outcomes, to timelines, to identities that no longer serve. And yet, paradoxically, it is this very grip that blocks the flow of miracles. The moment you release, the moment you loosen your grasp, life rushes in to fill the space with something greater. Consider the river. When dammed, its waters grow stagnant, heavy, and clouded. Yet when the barrier is lifted, the river flows freely, cleansing itself, nourishing every bank it touches. Your life is the same. Resistance builds dams. Letting go restores the flow. Long ago, a merchant named Hadriel struggled against the decline of his shop. He fought with fear, clinging to every coin, chasing every passing customer. But the harder he tried, the less he received. One evening, exhausted and defeated, he placed the keys of his shop upon his table and whispered, "I surrender." That night, his dreams revealed a vision of traveling markets and trade routes he had never considered. When he awoke, inspiration surged. Within weeks, he transformed his stagnant shop into a thriving traveling business. The miracle came not from fighting harder, but from releasing resistance. Modern science quietly affirms this ancient wisdom. Neuroscience tells us that when we obsess, our brain locks into survival states, fight or flight. Creativity shuts down, flow disappears. But when we release control, the brain relaxes into alpha and theta states, those same frequencies where inspiration, intuition, and miracles arise. Letting go is not giving up. It is giving over to the greater intelligence that already knows your path. It is choosing trust over tension, surrender over struggle. Yet the ego fears release. It whispers, if you let go, everything will fall apart. But the truth is this: it is only in letting go that life can fall together. Elara, a singer with a voice of silver, lived bound by perfection. She strained to control every note, every performance. Yet her music lacked soul. One night after a failed concert, she wept beneath the stars. Exhaustion broke her open. She whispered, "I release." The next time she sang, she let her heart, not her mind, lead. Her voice carried not only notes, but emotions so pure that the crowd rose to its feet in tears. In surrender, her true gift finally shone. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, place your burdens gently beside you. Whisper, "I release what I cannot control. I release the weight of fear. I release my desperate grip on outcomes." With each exhale, imagine chains falling away. Feel your chest lighten. Trust that in releasing you are making space for the miraculous. For what you cling to slips away, but what you release returns transformed. Chapter 3. The Law of Vacuum, Making Space for the Impossible. There is a mysterious law woven into the fabric of creation, the law of vacuum. Nature abhors emptiness. The moment a void is created, something must rush in to fill it. This truth, ancient as time itself, is the hidden mechanism through which miracles move. When nothing in your life is working, it is often because there is no room for the new. You may be clutching outdated dreams, broken relationships, limiting beliefs. The soil of your soul is cluttered with weeds, leaving no space for fresh seeds to grow. To invite miracles, you must first create a vacuum, a sacred emptiness into which the universe pours blessings. In the desert lands of old, a woman named Miriam tended a small clay jar of oil. When famine struck, she clung to this last possession, fearing its loss. Yet her wise neighbor told her, "Make space, and you will be filled." With trembling hands, Miriam poured the oil into another's empty jar. To her astonishment, her vessel filled again. No matter how much she poured, her jar remained replenished. In creating emptiness, she unlocked the flow of abundance. The law of vacuum is not metaphor. It is law. Energy cannot abide voids. It rushes to balance them. If your life feels stagnant, it may be because you are too full of clutter, full of old emotions, full of stories that no longer serve. To receive, you must release. To gain, you must give. Modern seekers discover this truth in countless ways. A man named Adrian once lived surrounded by relics of failure, unpaid bills, broken furniture, faded photographs of dreams that died. His home reflected his inner state, cluttered, heavy, lifeless. One day, urged by desperation, he cleared it all. He gave away clothes, burned old papers, and scrubbed his small apartment until it glowed. Within days, opportunities began appearing. A job offer, a new friendship, fresh inspiration. By emptying his space, he signaled to the universe, "I am ready for the new." The vacuum must be created in body, mind, and spirit. In body, clear your environment of what drags your energy down. In mind, release old narratives of lack and limitation. In spirit, surrender attachments that no longer align. Before you sleep tonight, perform a simple ritual. Take a piece of paper and write what you are ready to release. Fold it gently. Whisper, "I make space for the miraculous," and place it under your pillow. As you drift into slumber, imagine your inner world emptying, like a room with wide open windows. Feel the fresh wind of possibility rushing in. For the universe cannot fill what is already crowded. But when you create emptiness, the impossible has no choice but to arrive. Chapter 4. The Power of Enough. Turning surrender into strength. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey where exhaustion no longer feels like weakness, but becomes the doorway to revelation. This is the moment when the soul whispers with quiet finality, "Enough. Enough striving, enough forcing. enough wearing yourself thin against walls that will not move. What appears on the surface as defeat is, in truth, the ancient threshold of surrender, a threshold that turns struggle into strength, weakness into power, and impossibility into miracles. The old mystics knew that the word enough was not resignation, but invocation. To declare enough is to release the illusion that everything must be controlled by the small self, the mind that fears, grasps, and clings. To whisper enough is to invite the greater force of the universe to step forward. And in that space, what once seemed impossible begins to move with uncanny ease. In the coastal town of Sorel, there lived a fisherman named Jonas. For years he cast his nets, but each season grew leaner. He worked harder, stayed longer at sea, repaired nets, prayed prayers, and still his baskets returned nearly empty. One night, with storms gathering over the water, Jonas dropped his nets into the waves once more, but his arms trembled with fatigue. Looking at the horizon, he whispered, "Enough." He did not mean he would abandon fishing forever. He meant he would cease the frantic desperation that had stolen the joy of his work. The next morning, he felt a strange nudge to sail toward a cove he had long avoided. There, his nets filled so abundantly they nearly tore. From that day forward, Jonas no longer fished with fear, but with trust. The turning point was not his effort, but his surrender. The modern mind resists this teaching. It insists that surrender means weakness, quitting, or failure. Yet life itself reveals otherwise. Muscles only grow when they rest. Crops only flourish when the earth is left fallow. Rivers only regain strength when they meet still pools. The paradox of creation is this: strength emerges not from endless exertion, but from knowing when to release, when to declare, "I have done enough. Now I allow life to take over." Consider Elena, a young entrepreneur in the city whose startup consumed every waking hour. She lived on coffee and deadlines, convinced that salvation lay in pushing harder. Yet the harder she worked, the more tangled her business became. When illness finally forced her into bed, she felt like a failure. But in that enforced rest, something remarkable happened. Ideas she had chased for months began to arrive on their own. Solutions she could not force emerged effortlessly. By the time her health returned, she realized her business thrived not through relentless force, but through aligned inspiration. She had discovered the power of enough. To embrace enough is to acknowledge that you are not alone in creation. The universe is your silent partner, waiting to carry what you cannot. When you finally surrender, the unseen begins to weave. Doors open, paths clear. Support arrives from unexpected places. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I have done enough today. I am enough. I allow life to complete what I cannot." Feel the relief in those words, the softening of the body, the release of invisible burdens. This is not weakness. This is alignment. For in the sacred utterance of enough, the universe hears your invitation. And in that moment, miracles step forward to take the place of struggle. Chapter 5. Cracks of Light. How struggles contain the seeds of miracles. It is a strange truth that what you call your darkest nights are often the very moments where your greatest light begins to seep through. The wound that aches, the failure that shames, the obstacle that exhausts, these are not barren wastelands, but hidden gardens where miracles are planted. What you resist most fiercely often conceals the seed of transformation. In a forgotten mountain village, there was once a sculptor named Neril. He carved statues from marble blocks dragged from the quarries. Yet one day, a stone split, leaving an ugly crack down its center. Neril cursed the flaw, nearly discarding the rock. But something in his heart told him to look again. Instead of chiseling around the crack, he began carving into it, shaping it into flowing robes for an angel. When the statue was unveiled, the people marveled at its beauty, astonished that the flaw had become the very feature that gave it life. From that day, Neral told every apprentice, "Do not curse the cracks. They are where the light enters. Your struggles, too, contain such cracks. They appear as endings, but in truth, they are openings. Openings where light, wisdom, and possibility pour through." Lydia, a modern writer, spent years chasing recognition. Rejections piled higher than her manuscripts. She wept in despair, believing her dream was dead. Yet, in her darkest moment, she abandoned the idea of pleasing publishers and began writing raw stories for herself. These unpolished pieces, born from her pain, touched hearts more deeply than anything she had forced before. One day, a reader shared her work online, and it spread across continents. Lydia's miracle was not in avoiding struggle, but in allowing struggle to reveal her truest voice. The old sages knew that suffering was never wasted. They taught that every wound carries medicine, every failure hides wisdom, and every obstacle conceals direction. What feels like the end is often the disguised beginning of your miracle. To see cracks as curses is to blind yourself. To see them as sacred doorways is to awaken to life's hidden generosity. This shift does not deny the pain. It honors it, but refuses to let pain define the story. As you prepare to rest tonight, reflect upon one struggle that weighs upon you. Instead of cursing it, ask, what seed is hidden in this soil? What light longs to enter through this crack? Allow the question to travel with you into sleep, trusting that your subconscious will reveal answers in dreams, symbols, or gentle morning insights. The universe speaks most powerfully through the places you resist. Lean into them with curiosity. For every crack is a doorway, and every doorway, if entered with courage, leads to miracles waiting just beyond your fear. Chapter 6. Aligning with the Field. Entering the Miracle Frequency. Beyond what you see and touch lies a vast, invisible field, a living ocean of energy where all possibilities already exist. Mystics called it the divine matrix. Scientists whisper of quantum fields. Spiritual seekers name it the infinite. Regardless of language, the truth remains. Everything you desire already vibrates in this field. Your task is not to create miracles, but to align with them. Imagine a harp. Each string vibrates with its own frequency. When one string is plucked, another tuned to the same pitch begins to hum in resonance. This is the secret of miracles. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions vibrate into the field, and the field responds by drawing matching realities into form. The miracle does not come from outside. It emerges from resonance. Centuries ago, a healer named Amara lived in the desert. Her village, plagued by drought, begged her for rain. Instead of pleading with the heavens, she walked into the sands, closed her eyes, and began to feel rain as if it were already falling. She smelled the scent of wet earth, felt droplets cooling her skin, and saw rivers overflowing in her mind's eye. Villagers mocked her silence, but within days clouds gathered, and the rains poured. Amara had not forced rain into existence. She aligned her frequency with the field where rain already existed. In modern life, Daniel, a weary office worker, discovered this truth. Tired of scarcity, he began each night visualizing abundance. Not vague wishes, but detailed resonance. The feeling of financial freedom, the relief of bills paid, the joy of generosity. He immersed himself so fully that his subconscious accepted it as real. Within months, unexpected opportunities emerged, aligning with his vibration. His external life rearranged to match his inner frequency. Alignment is not effort, it is embodiment. You must feel, see, and breathe the reality you seek until your body cannot distinguish between desire and possession. In this state, the field recognizes your signal and mirrors it back as physical reality. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, choose one desire. Close your eyes and imagine it complete. Not in the future, now. Feel it so deeply your body relaxes into its truth. Hear the sounds of success, taste the sweetness of fulfillment, sense the peace of arrival. Let this vibration carry you into dreams. For alignment is not about forcing miracles. It is about tuning yourself to the frequency where miracles are already waiting. And once you align, the field has no choice but to deliver. Chapter 7. The Gateway of Gratitude. When everything feels empty. Gratitude is often misunderstood as something we feel only when blessings are visible. People wait for abundance to arrive, for success to manifest, for love to appear, and then they whisper thank you. But the ancients knew a deeper secret. Gratitude is not the effect of miracles, it is the cause. When everything seems barren, when emptiness echoes through your days, that is the very moment gratitude holds its most mysterious power. There was once a farmer named Elias, whose land had been struck by drought. His neighbors cursed the sky, abandoned their fields, and sank into despair. But each evening, Elias stood at the edge of his parched soil and whispered thanks. He thanked the earth though it was dry. He thanked the seeds though they had not sprouted. He thanked the rain, though it had not yet fallen. His neighbors mocked him, calling him mad. But Elias knew the law of gratitude. What you bless expands. What you appreciate multiplies. When rains finally returned, his fields flourished twice as abundantly as those who had cursed their land. This truth is woven into the fabric of reality. Gratitude shifts your energy into resonance with abundance. When you say thank you for what you cannot yet see, you invite it into existence. The field responds to your vibration, not your circumstances. Consider Alina, a woman in modern times who lost her job and felt stripped of purpose. At first, despair consumed her. But one night she remembered her grandmother's words. Begin with thanks, even for the smallest thing. So she whispered thanks for the roof above her head, for the air in her lungs, for the bed she lay upon. Night after night, she deepened this practice until gratitude flowed through her naturally. Soon, opportunities arrived. Unexpected interviews, supportive friends, new paths she could not have predicted. Her outer world shifted the moment her inner frequency aligned with appreciation. Gratitude in emptiness is not denial. It is recognition that beyond appearances lies a greater reality. It is seeing with the eyes of the soul rather than the eyes of fear. When you bless what you already have, however small, you create fertile ground for miracles to root. Tonight, as you lie in bed, think of 3 things, however modest, for which you can be thankful. Perhaps it is the quiet rhythm of your breath, the memory of laughter long past, or the simple gift of rest. Let these whispers of thanks expand in your chest until your body softens. Imagine gratitude as golden light filling your room, attracting unseen blessings from the vast field of possibility. For gratitude is the gateway, and through it emptiness becomes abundance, silence becomes song, and despair becomes the soil from which miracles grow. Chapter 8. The Power of Asking Differently. Questions that Unlock Destiny. Most people pray, ask, or plead in the same way. Why is this happening? When will it change? Why me? But such questions echo in empty chambers, returning only more frustration. The truth is not that you ask too much, but that you ask too small. When nothing works, when doors remain locked, the key is not in demanding answers, but in asking differently. In a distant city of marble towers, there lived a scholar named Damaris. He spent his life asking for wealth, recognition, and success. Yet none came. One evening, weary of his unanswered prayers, he sat beneath an ancient tree and wept. In his silence, the tree seemed to whisper, "Ask not what you can take. Ask what you can awaken." That night, Damaris changed his question. Instead of asking for wealth, he asked, "How may I serve with what I already have?" Instead of asking for recognition, he asked, "What wisdom longs to flow through me?" In the days that followed, students gathered around him. Wealth came, recognition grew, but only because he had learned to ask differently. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. A question asked in desperation binds you to scarcity. But a question asked in curiosity opens a channel to higher wisdom. When you ask with openness, your subconscious works through the night to weave answers into your dreams, your insights, your waking encounters. Modern seekers prove this daily. Clara, trapped in a failing marriage, once asked herself only, "Why is he like this? Why won't he change?" These questions deepened her despair. But when she shifted her inquiry to, "What is this teaching me about my strength? How may I grow through this experience?" she discovered inner power she had never known. That power guided her to new choices, new freedom, and new life. Questions are seeds. If you plant seeds of lack, lack will grow. If you plant seeds of wisdom, wisdom will flourish. The subconscious mind, especially in the twilight before sleep, is fertile soil where questions take root. Pose a sacred question, and the universe cannot help but respond. Tonight, choose one question that expands you. Perhaps, what miracle is already seeking me? What gift hides in this challenge? What is the next step my soul longs to take? Whisper it softly as you drift into sleep. Do not force an answer. Trust that in dreams, in waking symbols, in subtle nudges, the reply will arrive. For destiny is not unlocked by desperate pleas. It opens to those who dare to ask differently. Chapter 9. The Night Ritual of Reset. Preparing for Quantum Shifts. Every day you gather fragments, burdens, worries, disappointments, unspoken fears. They cling to your energy like dust, dulling your light, clouding your mind. Left unshaken, they travel with you into sleep, programming your subconscious with yesterday's limitations. Yet the ancients knew a practice to prevent this: the night ritual of reset, a sacred clearing that wipes the slate clean, preparing you for quantum shifts while you sleep. Long ago, in the temples of Alexandria, seekers ended each day with purification rites. They bathed not only their bodies, but their thoughts. Before lying down, they named aloud the burdens they carried and released them into sacred fire. They believed that only with an unburdened heart could dreams carry messages from the divine. This practice is no less needed today. Modern life demands constant attention, leaving few moments to cleanse the spirit. Yet each evening offers you a hidden gift, the chance to reset, to leave behind the weight of what was and open to what may be. Imagine Rowan, a teacher overwhelmed by endless duties. She carried her frustrations into sleep each night, dreaming of unfinished tasks and waking exhausted. But one evening she chose differently. Before bed, she lit a candle, placed her hand on her chest, and whispered, "I release this day. I release what I cannot change. I forgive myself. I forgive others. I begin anew." For the first time in months, she slept deeply. In the weeks that followed, her energy shifted, her outlook brightened, and solutions began to appear effortlessly. The ritual of reset is simple yet profound. It may be as humble as writing your worries on a piece of paper and placing it in a box, symbolizing surrender. It may be speaking forgiveness aloud or simply breathing deeply until your body softens. The form matters less than the intention. To clear away the debris of the day so that your subconscious is free to create miracles untainted by yesterday's shadows. Tonight, when darkness falls, create your own ritual. Light a candle, wash your hands slowly as though rinsing away burdens, or sit in silence and exhale the weight of the day. Whisper, I reset, I return to innocence, I open to miracles, then surrender to sleep. For when the mind rests cleansed, it becomes a fertile chamber where quantum shifts unfold. The past no longer binds you. The future arrives unburdened, and the night becomes a sacred workshop where your soul writes tomorrow's miracles all. Chapter 10. The Invisible Helpers. Tapping into Unseen Forces. There are moments when the weight of life feels too heavy to bear alone. Your hands grow weary, your mind doubts, your heart trembles at the thought of another day. Yet hidden beyond sight, woven into the fabric of creation, there exists a quiet network of allies, unseen helpers who move in silence, guiding, arranging, and lifting you toward the life your soul is destined to live. Throughout history, whispers of these invisible companions appear in every culture. The Greeks spoke of demons, sacred guides whispering inspiration into the ears of poets. The Hebrews told of angels, messengers walking unseen beside weary travelers. The indigenous elders taught of spirit animals, guardians appearing in dreams to impart wisdom. Different names, yet the same truth. You are never alone. In the highlands of ancient Iberia, a shepherd named Taylor lost his flock in a storm. Darkness fell and fear pressed against him. With no light, no food, no direction, he collapsed beneath an oak tree and cried out, "If anyone hears me, help me." As sleep overtook him, he dreamt of a great white hound that barked until dawn. When he awoke, the hound was gone, but its tracks led him straight to his flock, safe in a hidden valley. From then on, he spoke not of luck, but of guidance, and each night he whispered gratitude for the invisible friend who had saved him. Your unseen helpers may not appear as hounds or angels in radiant robes. Sometimes they come as a sudden thought, a stranger's kind word, a coincidence too perfect to dismiss. Other times they arrive in dreams, cloaked in symbols your heart alone can interpret. But their presence is constant. Their task is simple, to nudge, to protect, to remind you of the path when you forget. Modern seekers still tell stories of such interventions. Amelia, a nurse, once overslept and missed her usual bus. At first, she cursed her lateness, until she learned the bus she missed was struck in an accident. She remembered the quiet voice in her dream the night before. Rest tomorrow. Do not rush. Invisible helpers had whispered. She had listened, though unknowingly, and her life was preserved. The challenge is not their absence, but our blindness. The noise of daily worry drowns out their guidance. Fear and doubt close the channels through which they speak. Yet when you still your mind, when you release the frenzy of control, you begin to feel them again, gentle presences moving around you like a breeze in a silent room. Before sleep, invite them. Whisper. Invisible helpers, I open my heart. Walk with me. Show me the way. Protect me as I dream. As you drift into slumber, imagine light surrounding your bed, a radiant field woven by unseen hands. Trust that while you sleep, these helpers labor on your behalf, arranging synchronicities, dissolving obstacles, and aligning your path with hidden blessings. You were never meant to carry the burden alone. The universe is crowded with love, crowded with allies, crowded with guidance awaiting your recognition. When you awaken to this truth, fear loses its hold. The invisible helpers are already here. All they require is your invitation. Chapter 11. Thought Seeds. Planting new realities in subconscious soil. Every thought is a seed. Some grow into towering trees of abundance, joy, and love. Others sprout as weeds of fear, scarcity, and doubt. The soil of your subconscious does not judge. It accepts whatever seeds you plant, nurturing them quietly beneath the surface until they blossom in your waking life. This is the unchanging law of mind. What you plant in thought, you harvest in reality. In the lush valleys of Persia lived a gardener named Soraya. She tended a vast orchard where fruits grew sweeter than any in the land. When asked her secret, she replied, "I speak to the soil as if it were listening. I tell it the kind of harvest I wish to see." Her neighbors laughed, but her trees bore more fruit each season than theirs combined. Soraya knew the truth. Words are seeds, and the earth, like the subconscious, responds faithfully to what is spoken into it. You too plant daily. Each complaint is a seed. Each fear repeated in your mind is a seed. Each affirmation of hope, each declaration of love, each whisper of gratitude, these too are seeds. The question is not whether you are planting, but what. Julian, a young man in the modern world, constantly told himself he was unlucky. He muttered it when he spilled coffee, when he lost jobs, when relationships failed. Without realizing, he was planting the same seed again and again. And like a loyal servant, his subconscious cultivated it, bringing him endless proof of his own unlucky belief. Only when he changed his story, replacing "I am unlucky" with "life conspires for me," did the soil shift. Within months, synchronicities appeared, doors opened, and what he once called bad luck dissolved into blessing. The subconscious is most fertile in twilight states, just as you drift into sleep or awaken from dreams. These are the moments to plant intentionally. If your last thoughts at night are complaints, you program your inner soil with weeds. If they are words of gratitude, abundance, and love, you water seeds that will blossom into miracles. Ancient mystics practiced this with precision. They whispered sacred phrases before sleep, phrases that carried the vibration of health, wealth, and harmony. They believed that to drift into slumber with such seeds in the mind was to hand them directly to the divine gardener who works through the night. Tonight, try this. As you close your eyes, choose 3 seeds. Perhaps, I am loved. I am guided. I am abundant. Repeat them softly until they sink into your being. Imagine placing them in dark soil, then covering them gently. As you sleep, trust that they are sprouting unseen roots. In time, they will break through the surface of your waking reality. Your life is the orchard of your thoughts. Be mindful of the seeds you plant, for the soil is always listening, and the harvest always comes. Chapter 12. The Alchemy of Emotion. Transmuting Pain into Power. Emotion is energy. It is not your enemy, though often it feels overwhelming. Anger, grief, fear, despair, these heavy currents surge through you, and your first instinct is to suppress, to deny, to push them away. Yet the ancients understood that emotion is the raw material of transformation. Like base metals turned to gold, painful feelings can be transmuted into power, clarity, and miracle when approached with reverence rather than resistance. In the old kingdom of Thebes, there was a woman named Myrene who carried sorrow like a shadow. Her child had died, and she walked in endless mourning. One day, an elder invited her to a sacred fire ceremony. "Do not resist your grief," the elder said. "Offer it to the flame. Watch it rise and let it be transformed." That night, Myrene wept fully, letting her sorrow flow into the fire. As the flames consumed her tears, something shifted within. Her grief did not vanish, but it became compassion, a force so radiant she became known as the mother of the village, comforting every child as if her own lived again through them. Her pain became power. You too can transmute. Every emotion carries energy. Fear can become focus. Anger can become courage. Grief can become love. The key is not to deny the feeling, but to allow it, hold it, and consciously choose what it shall become. Suppression buries energy like stagnant water. Expression channels it into rivers that nourish. In modern life, Oliver, a quiet man, found himself consumed by anxiety after losing his job. He fought it, drowned it with distractions, yet the anxiety grew. Finally, he sat in silence and whispered, "I feel you. Show me what you wish to become." Images of possibility emerged, new paths, creative callings, opportunities unseen while he clung to fear. His anxiety became fuel for reinvention. Emotion is alchemy waiting to happen. In the twilight before sleep, when the subconscious opens, this transformation is most potent. Instead of suppressing what you feel at the end of the day, gather it gently. Place your hands over your heart and say, "I honor this feeling. I thank you for your power. I now ask you to transform into light." Then visualize the emotion as color, red, blue, heavy, dense, and watch it soften into golden radiance as you drift into slumber. Every night offers you this laboratory of transmutation. Your bed becomes the altar. Your emotions become offerings. Your subconscious becomes the alchemist. Do not fear your feelings. They are not here to destroy you. They are here to be transformed, to become the power that births your miracles. Chapter 13. The Voice Within. Awakening guidance you already carry. There is a voice inside you older than time, quieter than the breath, wiser than the world. You may have heard its whispers in fleeting moments, an intuition that told you to wait, a nudge that led you to the right place, a warning that saved you from harm. Yet most of life is lived in such noise that this inner voice becomes buried, dismissed as imagination, or ignored in favor of logic. But the truth is this: when nothing is working, when outer answers fail, it is because the universe is redirecting you back to the guidance already waiting within. Legends tell of a traveler named Rael who wandered deserts in search of sacred wisdom. For decades he visited temples, masters, and oracles, yet none satisfied his restless hunger. In old age, weary and defeated, he collapsed beneath a lone tree. There, in the silence of despair, he finally heard a quiet voice within whisper, "Why seek outside what has always been inside?" In that moment, clarity dawned. The wisdom he sought in deserts had been flowing in his heart all along. Rael returned to his village, no longer a seeker, but a guide, teaching that the greatest oracle lies in the chamber of one's own soul. You too carry this oracle. It speaks not in thunder, but in stillness. Its words are not urgent commands, but gentle nudges, subtle impressions, sudden feelings of knowing. The challenge is not hearing it, but trusting it. The mind demands evidence. The soul offers resonance. Modern stories reveal the same pattern. Sophia, a corporate manager burdened with endless decisions, felt trapped in cycles of analysis. Charts, data, and advice left her paralyzed. One night, overwhelmed, she shut her laptop and sat in silence. In the quiet, she whispered, "Show me the way." A calm feeling washed over her, leading her to decline a partnership she had nearly signed. Months later, the partner was exposed in fraud. Sophia's decision, born of inner guidance, saved her company. From that day forward, she trusted the voice within more than spreadsheets. This guidance grows strongest in the threshold between waking and sleep. In those twilight moments, the chatter of the conscious mind fades, and the whispers of the soul grow louder. If you ask before sleep, if you listen upon waking, you will hear. Sometimes in dreams, sometimes in feelings, sometimes in sudden morning clarity. Tonight, as you lie in bed, close your eyes and place a hand on your heart. Whisper, "Inner voice, I honor you. Speak to me in the language I understand. Guide me as I rest." Then listen, not with ears, but with spirit. Trust that guidance will arise, in dreams, in symbols, in the quiet certainty that tomorrow will bring. The universe is generous, but it speaks through you. The voice you long for is not far away. It is already within, waiting patiently for your attention. Chapter 14. The Mirror of Belief. Seeing beyond current circumstances. The world you see is not as solid as you believe. It is not reality, but reflection. Like a mirror, your outer circumstances reveal what you hold inwardly, projecting your beliefs upon the screen of life. When nothing seems to work, it is not because the world has conspired against you. It is because the mirror is faithfully reflecting the beliefs you carry. Change the belief, and the reflection must change. In an ancient coastal town lived a merchant named Thalen. His fortunes rose and fell like tides, and he blamed the markets, the weather, even the gods. One night, a traveling sage told him, "Life is a mirror. It reflects not what you want, but what you believe to be true." Thalen scoffed, yet curiosity gnawed at him. He began noticing his thoughts. Customers never stay. Wealth slips away. I am unlucky. Day after day, these beliefs echoed, and day after day, life mirrored them. At last, he decided to test the sage's words. Each morning, he stood before his shop and declared, "I am favored. Wealth flows steadily. My customers return again and again." At first, nothing changed. But as weeks passed, his heart began to believe his own words. Soon, customers did return, and prosperity grew. He learned that belief, not fortune, was the hidden hand shaping his life. The same truth moves through modern lives. Malik, a musician, believed he was unseen. He told himself no one cared for his songs, and so he sang half-heartedly. Audiences dwindled, confirming his belief. But when he shifted his inner story, choosing to believe, "My music carries light, and it finds those who need it," he sang with renewed energy. Audiences grew, opportunities opened, and the mirror of life reflected his new belief. Belief is not fantasy, it is the blueprint of reality. Your subconscious accepts it as truth and orchestrates circumstances to match. The universe is not cruel, but consistent. It must reflect what you project. The mirror becomes most pliable in the night. As you drift toward sleep, your beliefs sink deep into subconscious soil. If you replay the story of failure, the mirror repeats it. But if you plant beliefs of abundance, healing, and love, the reflection shifts. Tonight, stand before your own inner mirror. Close your eyes and see yourself as you wish to be, not someday, but now. Whisper new beliefs. I am worthy. I am guided. I am abundant. I am whole. Let them echo as you drift into dreams. Imagine the mirror cracking and reshaping until it reflects these truths back to you. Life does not change when you stare at the mirror and curse it. Life changes when you realize you are the one holding the brush that paints the reflection. Chapter 15. Silence as a Portal. How Stillness Accelerates Miracles. Noise surrounds you, the noise of voices, of demands, of endless thoughts. In this constant clamor, miracles cannot be heard. They wait in silence, in stillness, in the quiet space you rarely allow yourself to enter. Silence is not emptiness, it is the portal, the gateway through which miracles travel into your life. The desert mystics understood this. They left cities not because they hated them, but because they sought the soundless chambers where truth speaks loudest. They knew that in silence, the heart aligns, the mind clears, and the soul awakens to its own creative power. In the barren hills of Judea, a woman named Miriam wandered in grief after losing her husband. Her days were filled with noise, friends advising, neighbors gossiping, her own mind replaying sorrow. One day, she climbed into a cave and sat alone in silence. Hours passed. At first, noise screamed louder, her regrets, her pain, her anger. But as time stretched, the noise thinned. Then came stillness. In that stillness, she felt her husband's presence, not as a memory, but as love alive within her. From silence, her healing began. She emerged not broken, but radiant, guiding others through their grief with the wisdom she had found in quiet. Modern seekers forget this power. Phones buzz, screens glow, schedules crowd, leaving no space for the portal. Yet even a few minutes of silence can transform. Leo, a burned-out executive, began sitting each night in quiet darkness before bed. At first, restlessness clawed at him, but gradually, silence embraced him. Ideas he had chased for months arrived effortlessly. His body healed from stress, his relationships softened. Miracles whispered to him, not in chaos but in calm. Silence is a vibration. It lowers resistance, calms the nervous system, and tunes you to the frequency of miracles. When you dwell in it before sleep, your subconscious drifts into rest, cleansed, receptive, and aligned. Tonight, turn off the noise, sit in darkness, breathe deeply. Let silence expand until it fills the room. Whisper within. In silence, I open. In stillness, I receive. Then allow the quiet to carry you into sleep. For miracles are not born in noise. They are born in the vast cathedral of silence, where the soul remembers its true power and the universe speaks without words. Chapter 16. The Alignment Prayer, Calling Miracles into Form. There are words older than language, currents of sound that shape reality when spoken with a heart surrendered and a spirit aligned. Prayer is not the desperate begging of the weak, nor the hollow repetition of tradition. True prayer is alignment, a joining of your inner vibration with the frequency of the infinite. When nothing seems to work, it is not because the universe is deaf, it is because your words have not yet carried the resonance of belief. The alignment prayer is not about pleading for miracles. It is about stepping into the space where miracles already exist and calling them into form. In the temple cities of Mesopotamia, seekers were taught to pray differently. Rather than asking for rain, they prayed as if rain were already falling. They smelled wet earth, tasted cool drops, and gave thanks as though the drought had ended. Their prayers were not wishes, they were rehearsals of reality. And again, rains came. The priests said, "The universe does not respond to words. It responds to vibration. Speak with the tongue of gratitude, and all you ask is already given." This wisdom has not vanished. Even now, those who learn to align in prayer discover extraordinary results. Maria, a modern mother, faced despair as her child lay ill. For months, she begged heaven to heal him, yet nothing shifted. One night, exhausted, she stopped begging and began imagining. She pictured her son laughing, running, radiant with life. She whispered, "Thank you for his healing. Thank you for his strength. Thank you for the joy of seeing him whole again." She prayed not as a beggar, but as a co-creator, aligning her words with the reality she longed for. Within weeks, her son improved. Doctors called it unexpected. Maria called it alignment. Prayer, in its truest form, is not an escape from reality, but a declaration of a higher one. The words you speak are vessels, but it is the energy behind them that summons miracles. To whisper "I am abundant" with fear is empty. To whisper "I am abundant" while feeling the warmth of abundance in your heart is power. The alignment prayer grows most potent in twilight, when the mind softens and the subconscious opens like fertile soil. Before sleep, speak not of what you lack, but of what you embrace as already true. If you long for love, whisper, "Thank you for the love that fills my life." If you long for peace, say, "Thank you for the calm that carries me." Speak as if the miracle already lives within you, and it will. Tonight, create your prayer. Sit in stillness. Place your hands upon your chest. Speak aloud, not what you fear, not what you lack, but what you call forth. Let each word rise from your heart, heavy with belief. Then release it into the silence of sleep, trusting that unseen forces carry it into form. For prayer is not about moving the heavens, it is about moving yourself into harmony with them. And once aligned, miracles need no persuasion. They come naturally, like rivers flowing to the sea. Chapter 17. Imagination's Secret. Dreaming as Reality's Blueprint. Imagination is not fantasy. It is the blueprint of creation, the womb from which realities are born. Every bridge, every cathedral, every discovery first lived as a vision in someone's mind before it appeared in stone, steel, or science. The ancients called imagination the divine faculty, the fire by which humans shape the unseen into the seen. When nothing works in the outer world, the secret is to turn inward, to dream vividly, and to let imagination weave the pattern of what is yet to come. In Athens long ago, a young architect named Callias despaired. His buildings crumbled, his patrons abandoned him, and his reputation faltered. One night, in shame, he wandered to the sea. As waves lapped the shore, he closed his eyes and imagined. He saw arches rising against the sky, temples standing unshaken, homes filled with laughter. He walked through them in his mind, smelling stone dust, hearing the voices of future inhabitants. Each night, he returned to this vision. Within years, Callias became known for structures so enduring they stood centuries. His secret was not new materials, but new imagination. Modern life, too, whispers this truth. Naomi, an athlete facing injury, was told she would never run again. But she closed her eyes each night and saw herself running, feeling the wind, the strength in her legs, the cheers of the crowd. Science later revealed that her brain could not distinguish between her vivid visions and reality. Her neural pathways strengthened as though she had truly run. Against all odds, she returned to competition. The subconscious accepts imagination as reality. What you picture vividly, with emotion and detail, becomes instructions for your inner world, which then shapes your outer experience. The tragedy is not that people dream too much. It is that they dream too little, surrendering imagination to fear. Worries are also visions, rehearsals of disaster. They too shape reality. The choice is yours, to let imagination craft nightmares or miracles. Each night offers you a workshop. As you drift into slumber, step into the movie of your chosen reality. Walk through your new home, feel the joy of fulfilled love, hear the laughter of abundance, engage every sense. Let it be so real that your body relaxes into it as though it already exists. Tonight, before you sleep, select one vision. Close your eyes and enter it fully. Hold it until drowsiness carries it into dream. Trust that your subconscious, faithful architect will begin constructing it in ways you cannot yet see. For imagination is not play, it is power. It is the language through which the unseen becomes seen, the blueprint by which your soul directs the miracle of your life. Chapter 18. The 24-Hour Shift. Rewriting tomorrow before it arrives. Time is not as rigid as you believe. Though clocks tick in steady rhythm, reality bends to the patterns you set before sleep. Each night you carry the weight of today into tomorrow, rehearsing the same thoughts, replaying the same worries, waking to the same limitations. Yet the ancients taught a different way, the 24-hour shift. Through conscious intention before slumber, you can rewrite tomorrow before it dawns, planting patterns that unfold as reality with the morning light. In Egypt's golden age, priests spoke of the two sleeps. The first sleep belonged to man, the body resting. The second belonged to gods, the soul weaving destiny in dreams. They believed that what one impressed upon the mind before entering the second sleep became the blueprint of the coming day. Those who feared carried fear forward. Those who blessed carried blessings. The night, they said, was the womb of tomorrow. You know this truth in fragments. How often have you gone to bed anxious, only to wake heavy, dread already waiting? And how often have you gone to bed joyful, waking light, with synchronicities awaiting you? The state in which you surrender to sleep sets the tone for the day yet unborn. Consider Jareth, a modern salesman, plagued by failure. Each night he replayed his losses, and each day they repeated. Until one evening he tried differently. He visualized his next day filled with success, handshakes, agreements, laughter, abundance. He rehearsed it in his mind until sleep claimed him. The next morning, his day followed the pattern he had set, almost eerily precise. He discovered what sages knew. Tomorrow is malleable. To practice the 24-hour shift, close your eyes at night and imagine the next day as you wish it to unfold. Do not merely think it, feel it. See yourself smiling at dawn, receiving good news, walking through opportunities with ease. Whisper, tomorrow flows with miracles. Tomorrow bends toward my highest good. Then release the image to the night, trusting it will crystallize as you rest. Science hints at this truth. Studies show the subconscious mind continues working as you sleep, solving problems, creating connections, rehearsing patterns. When you give it a script, it follows it. When you give it chaos, it repeats it. Tonight, choose your script. Declare the day before it arrives. Imagine the hours not as blank pages, but as already written with blessing. Then drift into dreams, knowing you are not waiting for tomorrow. You are authoring it. For time is not a prison. It is a canvas, and each night, with thought and intention, you hold the brush that paints the dawn. Chapter 19. Trusting the Unseen Hand, Faith in Motion. There are currents in life that you cannot see but that move with perfect precision. Just as the wind bends the trees, though it remains invisible, the unseen hand of the universe shapes your days in ways the mind cannot comprehend. When everything appears still, when progress hides from your sight, this hand is already arranging, aligning, preparing. Faith is not blind optimism. It is the recognition that the unseen is more powerful than what the eyes can measure. In an ancient marketplace, there lived a merchant named Hadar, whose caravans were often delayed. He would pace at night, consumed with fear, imagining disaster on the trade routes. One evening, an elder found him trembling by the fire. "Why do you carry storms in your mind?" she asked. "The unseen hand guides what you cannot control." She taught him to whisper words of trust before sleep. The path is cleared. The goods are safe. The unseen carries them to me. When Hadar practiced this, he noticed his body rest more deeply, and in time, his caravans began to arrive not only safely, but with greater profit. Whether by chance or by design, Hadar understood. What we surrender to the unseen often arrives more gracefully than what we try to force. In the modern world, Elaine, a teacher facing job loss, found herself paralyzed by fear. She sent dozens of resumes, but none returned with offers. Exhausted, she remembered her grandmother's wisdom. When your hands can do no more, trust the hands you cannot see. That night, she stopped fighting and simply whispered, "Guide me to where I am needed." Days later, a former student called her with news of an opening at a new school. The job was hers. Elaine realized the unseen hand had always been moving, waiting for her surrender. Faith in motion is not laziness. It is the recognition that while your actions plant seeds, the unseen hand sends the rain, the sun, the timing. To live without trust is to yank at seedlings, demanding them to grow. To live with trust is to water them faithfully and let the unseen work the miracle. Tonight, before you sleep, whisper words of faith. Say, "I trust the unseen hand that moves through my life. What is mine comes swiftly. What is not fades gently. I am guided even when I cannot see." Then release your burdens into the darkness, trusting that tomorrow will carry proof of alignment. The unseen hand is never idle. It is only waiting for your trust to move unhindered. Chapter 20. The Language of Symbols. Interpreting Miraculous Signs. The universe speaks, though not always in words. It whispers in symbols, patterns, and coincidences that shimmer at the edges of awareness. A bird landing at your window, a phrase overheard at the perfect moment, a dream that refuses to fade. These are not accidents. They are messages in the secret language of the cosmos. To the unseeing, they are dismissed as chance. To the awakened, they are signs guiding the way to miracles. In the hills of Delphi, seekers once traveled to hear oracles. Yet the wise priestess often spoke in riddles and symbols, leaving the listener to interpret meaning. One traveler scoffed, calling the riddles useless. But another understood. The language of symbols is not meant for the mind, but for the soul. The sign's power lies not in its clarity, but in its resonance. So it is in your own life. Symbols arise daily, yet you brush them aside because they do not arrive as explanations. The number that repeats on clocks, the same animal appearing again and again, the song that plays exactly when you think of someone. These are doorways, reminders that the invisible realm communicates through signs. A man named Caleb once felt lost, unsure whether to pursue his art or abandon it for practical work. One night, he dreamt of a golden paintbrush. The next day, walking through town, he saw the same brush displayed in a shop window. Later, a stranger remarked casually, "The world always needs more beauty." Caleb took these as signs, and when he leaned into his art, commissions began flowing. The language of symbols had been guiding him, waiting for his attention. Even in modern science, synchronicity is studied as meaningful coincidence. Jung called it the acausal connecting principle, proof that inner states and outer events are woven by threads unseen. What matters is not dismissing the signs, but asking, what does this symbol stir in me? What truth does it awaken? Before you sleep, invite the universe to speak in symbols. Whisper, "Show me guidance in ways I will understand. Let signs appear in my dreams, in my waking life, in my heart." Then pay attention. Keep a journal by your bed. Record recurring images, strange coincidences, subtle messages. Over time, patterns emerge, revealing guidance too precise to deny. Symbols are the alphabet of the divine. To ignore them is to miss the conversation unfolding around you. To honor them is to walk with the universe as your constant companion. Chapter 21. The Dream Detective's Investigation. Every night you step into a world woven by your subconscious, a theater of symbols where dreams whisper truths the waking mind overlooks. To most, these images fade with morning light, dismissed as random or meaningless. Yet the ancients knew differently. Dreams are mirrors, maps, and messages. They hold the keys to understanding your blocks, your desires, your destiny. To become a dream detective is to enter the sacred investigation of your own soul, In Babylon, dream interpreters were honored as guides to kings. They believed each dream was a message cloaked in metaphor. Rivers symbolizing emotions, doors symbolizing opportunities, animals representing instincts. The king who dismissed his dreams often walked into disaster. The king who heeded them found victory. You too are given nightly counsel, though you may not yet recognize it. Consider Clara, a modern woman who dreamt of being trapped in endless hallways. She dismissed it as nonsense until she realized she was living the same pattern. Endless jobs, endless busyness, no true fulfillment. When she acknowledged the dream as guidance, she changed course, leaving her job for creative work. The hallways disappeared from her sleep. Dreams reveal what the conscious mind resists. They show you your fears, your desires, your unacknowledged truths. When nothing works in waking life, the answers often already glow within your dreams. To investigate is to treat them as sacred messages, worthy of attention. Begin your investigation by keeping a journal at your bedside. Each morning, before you rise, write every detail you remember. Colors, emotions, symbols, even fragments matter. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. Recurring symbols are your subconscious shouting truths. Falling may reveal lack of control. Flying may show newfound freedom. Water may unveil emotional tides. Before sleep, whisper, "Show me what I need to know." Reveal the hidden truth in dreams. Then trust that your inner detective will awaken with clues. For dreams are not illusions. They are coded messages from the deepest parts of your being, guiding you toward healing, clarity, and miracles. Investigate them, and you discover the map already drawn for your life's unfolding. Chapter 22. The Manifestation Mathematician. Creation is not chaos. It moves through patterns, precise as the spiral of a seashell, exact as the rhythm of the stars. The ancients did not see numbers as mere calculations. They saw them as divine language, the blueprint of all existence. To them, mathematics was sacred, not cold logic, but the geometry of the cosmos itself. And those who learned to align their desires with these universal patterns discovered a secret. Manifestations arrived not by chance, but with the certainty of equations. In Alexandria, there lived a carpenter named Demetrius. His neighbors admired his skill, but marveled more at his fortune. His home prospered, his business thrived, and his family lived in harmony. When asked his secret, he would trace numbers into the sand: 3, 5, 8, 13. "The rhythm of the universe," he whispered. He built not just with wood, but with harmony. Every table, every chair was designed in proportion to sacred numbers. He believed that when his work aligned with cosmic order, life itself mirrored that order back to him. His success was not luck, but resonance with universal law. The golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral, the triangle, the circle. These symbols of mathematics are more than shapes. They are the fingerprints of creation, appearing in galaxies, flowers, even the structure of your DNA. When you align your mind with these sacred forms, your desires no longer drift aimlessly. They find pathways carved by the universe itself. Modern seekers often stumble into this truth. Fiona, an artist, felt blocked for months. Her canvases sat empty until she discovered sacred geometry. She began sketching spirals, mandalas, and interlocking triangles. As she painted, inspiration flooded back. Soon her artwork caught the attention of collectors, her prosperity returning in patterns as precise as the forms she painted. Before sleep, you can practice this sacred mathematics. Close your eyes and visualize a golden spiral unfurling from your heart, carrying your desire outward like a seed riding the wind. Place your intention at its center. See it expand naturally without strain, carried by universal rhythm. Or imagine your desire enclosed in a perfect triangle, representing thought, emotion, and action, united as one. These shapes are not fantasy. They are codes that the subconscious recognizes as truth, anchoring your desires in structures that the universe understands. The manifestation mathematician knows that desire without structure dissolves, but desire aligned with universal pattern crystallizes. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, see your wishes not as scattered hopes, but as precise forms, spirals of golden light, circles of wholeness, triangles of balance. Let them carry you into dream, where the architect of your subconscious builds realities with the tools of eternity. For miracles are not random. They are equations of energy, and when you learn the language of the universe, the results become inevitable. Chapter 23. The Collective Consciousness Connector. Though you feel yourself an individual, your mind is woven into a vast tapestry, a living field where every thought, every feeling ripples into the whole. This is the collective consciousness, the ocean of awareness that connects all beings across time and space. What you think is not only yours. What you feel is not only for you. And when nothing seems to work, it is often because you are attempting to manifest alone, forgetting that you are always connected to the power of the many. In the ancient plains of India, sages taught of Indra's net, an infinite web with jewels at each node. Every jewel reflected all others, so that a single glimmer echoed endlessly across the network. To harm one jewel was to dull them all. To bless one was to brighten the universe. The sages said that humanity lived in this net, each mind a jewel reflecting every other. This wisdom appears in modern times through synchronicities that defy explanation. How many times have you thought of a friend, only to receive their call, or dreamed of an event, only to find the world reflecting it back the next day? These are not coincidences. They are the shimmer of Indra's net, proof that your mind is never separate. Lydia, a school teacher, once despaired over her efforts to improve her community. Alone, her work felt like a drop in the ocean. But one evening she sat quietly, breathing deeply, and imagined connecting her heart to every teacher across the world. She whispered, "May our efforts combine. May our love ripple outward." That night she dreamt of walking through a luminous web, each strand humming with energy. Weeks later, grants, partnerships, and unexpected allies appeared. She realized her vision had tapped the collective, where her single drop had indeed joined an ocean. To connect consciously with this field is to amplify your power 1,000-fold. Before sleep, sit in stillness. Imagine your mind as a glowing sphere, then watch it merge with countless others, forming a vast lattice of light stretching beyond horizons. Whisper, "I connect with the collective. I receive wisdom. I send love. I draw strength from the whole." As you drift into slumber, know that your desires ripple across this web, finding pathways you alone could never conceive. The collective field does not diminish individuality, it amplifies it. You are both a single note and the entire symphony. When you awaken to this truth, miracles cease to feel personal. They become inevitable, flowing not from you alone, but from the harmony of all consciousness joined. Chapter 24. The Reality Revision Workshop. The past is not as fixed as you believe. Memory is malleable, fluid, more like water than stone. What you recall is not what happened, but what your mind preserved, and that preservation can be rewritten. This is the secret of reality revision. To revisit old wounds, to reframe them, and to rewrite their meaning so that the energy they hold no longer binds you. When nothing works in your present, it may be because the past still chains you. But in the quiet of night, you can step into the workshop of your subconscious and alter the patterns that once held you captive. In Rome, philosophers taught their students to revisit each day before sleep, replaying events in the mind. But they did not merely recall, they revised. If they had spoken in anger, they imagined themselves speaking with love. If they had failed, they envisioned success. They believed that by revising memory, they were planting improved seeds that would bloom in future action. Consider Helena, a woman haunted by childhood shame. Each night she relived cruel words spoken to her in school. Those words echoed through her adulthood, limiting her confidence. One evening she discovered the practice of revision. She closed her eyes and returned to that moment, but this time she imagined herself standing tall, her voice strong, her classmates applauding her courage. She rehearsed it nightly until the old memory lost its sting. Her life shifted, her career blossomed, her relationships strengthened. By rewriting the past, she rewove her future. Science now shows memory is not a static record, but a living process. Each time you recall, you rewrite. The brain opens the file, and what you choose to insert becomes part of the story. This is why revision is so powerful. You can choose to keep feeding wounds or to feed healing. Tonight, choose one memory that still holds pain. Before sleep, close your eyes and replay it. But this time, rewrite it. See yourself responding with strength. Hear different words. Feel different emotions. Anchor the new version with love. Then let it be the story your subconscious carries into dream. Do not mistake this for denial. You are not erasing history. You are rewriting your relationship with it. You are extracting wisdom from pain, turning poison into medicine. The Reality Revision Workshop is open every night, waiting for you to enter. When you do, the past ceases to chain you, the present ceases to repeat old cycles, and the future opens to possibilities unimagined. Chapter 25. The Gratitude Amplification Chamber. There are forces in the universe that multiply whatever you offer. Speak fear, and fear expands. Dwell in lack, and lack grows roots. But among these forces there is one that magnifies with a power beyond measure: gratitude. To be grateful is not merely to say thank you for blessings received, but to create a chamber of resonance so high that the universe cannot help but echo back abundance. Gratitude is not a polite response to fortune. It is the very seed from which fortune grows. In the mountains of Tibet, monks built chambers where walls were etched with prayers of thanksgiving. Each night, they entered these halls not to ask for anything, but to give thanks for everything. Their words rose like incense into the air. Thank you for the breath. Thank you for the stars. Thank you for the silence that holds us. Villagers claimed that those who practiced in these chambers experienced miracles, crops that flourished despite drought, healings that defied logic, journeys that unfolded with ease. They believed gratitude summoned unseen allies, amplifying human intention into divine result. This truth has not faded. Modern seekers discover it again and again. Jonas, a weary man burdened by bills and loneliness, was told by a mentor to begin a gratitude journal. At first, he scoffed. What could he possibly be thankful for when everything seemed to fail? But with nothing left to lose, he began. One entry, then another. I am thankful for the warmth of my bed. I am thankful for the sunrise. I am thankful for a stranger's smile. Slowly, something shifted. He began to notice blessings he had long overlooked. The more he noticed, the more they multiplied. Within months, he found new work, new friendships, new joy. Gratitude had transformed his chamber of lack into a chamber of abundance. Gratitude alters frequency. It tells the subconscious, I already live in blessing. and the subconscious, faithful architect, reshapes reality to match. To complain is to practice lack. To appreciate is to practice abundance. Tonight, create your own chamber of gratitude. Before sleep, whisper aloud 3 things for which you are thankful. Then expand them. Feel them deeply. Imagine the gratitude filling your room like golden light, bouncing off the walls, surrounding your bed until you rest in a cocoon of luminous thanksgiving. Drift into sleep wrapped in this radiance. For gratitude is not passive, it is active. It amplifies whatever you touch. Enter the gratitude chamber, and miracles will echo back louder than your words. Chapter 26. The Infinite Possibility Portal. The mind believes in limits. It insists there are walls you cannot cross, dreams too vast to reach, doors locked forever. But the soul knows otherwise. Each night as you slip into sleep, a portal opens, a gateway to infinite possibility where all outcomes already exist. In this sacred space, boundaries dissolve, timelines blur, and what once seemed impossible reveals itself as only unexplored. Long ago, in the deserts of Arabia, a traveler named Saphir sought a treasure he believed hidden by the ancients. For years he wandered, searching caves, digging sands, questioning sages. One night, collapsed beneath the stars, he dreamt of a door of light. Beyond it lay countless versions of himself, one rich, one poor, one happy, one bitter. A voice whispered, "All exist. Choose which you will live." When he awoke, he understood. The treasure was not in the desert, but in his consciousness. Each choice, each belief, each vision opened a new door of possibility. This is what modern physicists hint at when they speak of quantum realities, of infinite worlds branching at every decision. You are not bound to one fate. You are surrounded by infinite versions of yourself, waiting for your choice to align with them. Marina, a modern woman weary of her routine, discovered this truth accidentally. Each night she imagined a different life, traveling, painting, teaching. She saw herself living these realities as though they were now. One day, she received an unexpected invitation to exhibit her artwork, a hobby she had long hidden. Soon, travel followed, opportunities unfolding with uncanny alignment. She had stepped through a portal of possibility, shifting her reality by daring to dream beyond the walls her mind insisted upon. To enter the infinite possibility portal, begin at night. Close your eyes and imagine yourself stepping into a vast hall filled with doors. Each door bears a symbol of a different life, a different reality. Choose one. Walk through it. See yourself living it fully, smelling, hearing, feeling every detail. Allow your subconscious to carry that frequency through the night. When you awaken, do not dismiss it as fantasy. Trust that the portal has been entered and that reality is already bending toward that path. Possibility is infinite. Limitation is illusion. Each night you are invited to step beyond walls into the endless halls of creation. Dare to enter, and tomorrow will reshape itself in ways you once believed impossible. Chapter 27. The Energy Signature Designer. You are not only flesh and bone, you are vibration, a field of energy constantly broadcasting into the universe. Every thought, every emotion, every belief contributes to your unique signature, a frequency that acts like a beacon. It attracts experiences, people, and opportunities that match its resonance. When nothing is working, it is not because life has abandoned you. It is because your signature has been tuned unconsciously to a frequency of struggle. But the gift of awareness is this: you can redesign your energy signature. You can tune yourself to the vibration of miracles. In ancient China, sages spoke of the qi, the vital force that flowed through all living things. They believed illness, misfortune, or stagnation occurred when one's chi fell out of harmony. Through breath, movement, and intention, they adjusted their energy fields until balance returned. They were, in truth, energy signature designers. In the modern age, Amira, a musician, embodied this truth. For years, she struggled, doors closing at every turn. One night, she read that emotion was frequency, and frequency was attraction. She decided to experiment. Before bed, she played music not to express her sadness, but to embody joy. She allowed gratitude to rise until her whole body hummed with warmth. Night after night, she repeated this, sleeping in the vibration of fulfillment. Within months, invitations poured in, collaborations formed, and her career flourished. She had not changed the world around her. She had changed her signature, and the universe responded. Your energy is malleable. Each night you can redesign it. Before sleep, sit in stillness. Place your hands over your heart. Choose the frequency you wish to embody: abundance, love, healing, creativity. Imagine it as golden light filling your body, expanding outward until it envelops your room, your home, your world. Feel it humming in every cell. Whisper, "This is who I am. This is my frequency." Then drift into sleep, trusting your subconscious to anchor the vibration. When you awaken, notice how life shifts. People will sense the change before you speak. Opportunities will align. Circumstances will rearrange. You will realize you were never attracting randomly. You were broadcasting consistently. The energy signature designer is not at the mercy of fate. They are an architect, shaping reality through frequency. And every night, as you surrender to dreams, you hold the pen that writes your signature anew. Chapter 28. The Synchronicity Orchestrator. There are no accidents in a universe woven of intention. What you call coincidence is the language of alignment, the evidence that unseen forces are arranging your life with exquisite precision. Synchronicity is not random. It is orchestration. When you begin to work with this mysterious current, you realize that life itself is a conductor, weaving notes of chance into symphonies of meaning. And when nothing seems to work, it is often because you have not yet attuned yourself to this deeper rhythm. In the high mountains of the Andes, a traveler named Solano once sought direction for his journey. With no map and no guide, he wandered aimlessly until one evening he prayed, "Show me the path." The next morning, a condor soared overhead, circling a distant ridge. Solano followed its flight and discovered a hidden valley that led him safely through the mountains. From then on, he lived by signs. He said the world spoke to him, not with words, but with synchronicities too precise to ignore. Modern seekers know this truth as well. Eliza, an artist uncertain of her next project, asked for guidance. That very day, she heard the same phrase 3 times from strangers. "Paint what you fear." That night, a dream showed her standing before a canvas of storms. She painted her anxieties into colors and shapes, and her work resonated so deeply that it brought her recognition. The synchronicities had not been random. They had been the universe orchestrating her awakening. The key to working with synchronicity is awareness. Life is always arranging signs, but most people move too quickly, dismissing them as trivial. Yet when you slow down, when you watch with the eyes of the soul, patterns emerge. Numbers repeat, names echo, animals appear, dreams align with waking life. The orchestra is playing. You must simply learn to listen. Tonight, before you drift into sleep, whisper an invitation. Synchronicity, speak to me. Guide me with signs that I will recognize and trust. Imagine a web of golden threads stretching from your heart into the world, each thread pulling toward perfect alignment. Drift into slumber with the certainty that tomorrow will hum with hidden messages. The synchronicity orchestrator is not someone special. It is the universe itself, arranging every note. But you are the listener, the one who recognizes the melody. And once you learn to dance to its rhythm, your days become music, your choices guided, your miracles inevitable. Chapter 29. The Master Key Holder. There is a truth so profound that once grasped, it transforms every perception, every practice, every breath. It is this: you are not merely the seeker of miracles, you are the source from which they spring. You hold the master key, for you are the door and the lock, the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation. Every technique, every ritual, every practice has been pointing to this revelation, that the power has never been outside you. It has always lived within. In forgotten temples of Egypt, initiates were led through long corridors of teachings. They learned symbols, prayers, and sacred practices, but at the end of their training, they were brought before a mirror. Here, the priests said, is the final mystery. Look closely. The God you seek is the one who gazes back. This is the moment of awakening. To realize that while helpers exist, while practices guide, you are the one holding the master key. You always were. Consider Marcus, a man in modern times who spent years searching for mentors, books, and systems. He filled his shelves with wisdom, but still felt powerless. One evening, exhausted, he stopped searching outward and sat in silence. In the stillness, a thought arose. What if I already carry the key? From that day forward, he ceased chasing answers and began trusting his inner authority. His choices grew confident, his path clearer. Opportunities flowed because he no longer doubted his role as the creator of his own reality. The master key is awareness. To know that your consciousness itself is the force that shapes your life is to hold the greatest power. Every belief, every thought, every emotion is a turn of the key, opening doors or closing them. To blame fate is to forget your hand on the lock. To remember your power is to unlock doors that once seemed sealed by stone. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, see yourself standing in a vast hall filled with doors. In your hand, a golden key. Whisper, I am the dreamer of my reality. I hold the master key. With each door you open, see realities blooming, abundance, love, health, joy. Walk through whichever door you choose and let it carry you into dreams. The master key does not belong to the few. It belongs to you. And when you awaken to this truth, miracles cease to be occasional. They become the natural unfolding of your infinite power. Chapter 30. The Awakened Dreamer's Graduation. Every journey has its culmination, not an ending, but a transformation. What began as struggle, as searching, as nights filled with despair, has become a path of awakening. You have traveled through pauses and portals, gratitude chambers, and dream investigations. You have learned the language of symbols, the rhythm of surrender, the power of imagination, the design of energy. And now you stand where all paths converge, the recognition that you are the awakened dreamer. In ancient schools of mystery, students studied for years before a final rite of passage. They were asked not to recite knowledge, not to demonstrate skill, but to embody presence, to walk with calm, to speak with truth, to live as though every moment were sacred. Graduation was not a ceremony of completion, but a recognition. The student had become the teaching. So it is with you. The awakened dreamer does not merely practice techniques, but lives them. You no longer see sleep as unconscious escape, but as sacred creation. You no longer see struggle as failure, but as preparation. You no longer seek miracles as distant blessings, but as the natural language of your being. Consider Eleanor, who once wept nightly, believing life had abandoned her. She discovered the practices of gratitude, imagination, and surrender. At first, she tried them with effort, then with trust, then with joy. One day she realized she no longer needed to force results. Miracles appeared without summoning, synchronicities unfolded without asking, peace blossomed without striving. She had graduated, not from learning, but from forgetting. Your own graduation is here. You are invited to walk forward as the awakened dreamer, weaving miracles not as exceptions but as daily expressions of your truth. You know now that thoughts are seeds, that silence is fertile, that dreams are blueprints, that gratitude amplifies, that you hold the master key. With this knowing, every night becomes a sacred workshop, every morning a canvas awaiting your brush. Tonight, lie down, not as a seeker, but as a creator. Place your hand upon your heart and whisper, I am the awakened dreamer. I create with love. I live as miracle. I am whole. Drift into sleep not as one hoping for change, but as one who knows the dream already lives within. Graduation is not the end. It is the beginning of mastery, the flowing dance of creation and rest, intention and surrender, waking and dreaming as one seamless continuum. You no longer ask whether miracles are possible. You embody the truth that miracles are inevitable, for you are the dreamer, and life is your dream. Step forward now, awakened one. The universe waits to echo your vision. The dance of creation continues, and you are its masterful participant, its conscious composer, its radiant dreamer.